Hey going guys, Ben here coming at you. Welcome to vlog 11. This is a continuation of Russell Brand's Commune course. And so today is really just about one of the next steps to, I guess, what you want to call recovery. And it's really all just about like what's fucking you up. And so today is all about resentments that we've been holding on to, could be for 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years. So in the example, like Russell would be talking about an incident that happened when he was a kid and that he was sexually abused. And there's a few things that he runs through that really force you to take a huge inventory of really owning that resentment and really taking a moral stock take on how it affects you, and in saying that, how that affects other people, as far as your behavior goes. I'm more than happy to be 100% brutally honest. So the guide that sort of helps working through any of these resentments, and there could be 100 resentments that you're holding on to. It could be a person, place, or a thing. So there could be thousands of resentments that you're holding on to, and so the kind of way to the structure that sort of Russell used, and I'll move the camera over so that you can sort of see and work with it yourself if that's what you want to do. But at least that's a tool, that we can put out there, and I hope that it helps people. So I'll flip the camera so that you guys can see it for yourselves. So it's basically a five-part sort of questionnaire, I guess, that really forces you to like answer these questions, being, okay, so number one, the first column there is obviously resentment. What is it that you resent? Second is the reason. Why do you resent this thing? And then the next column, and the effect. What does it affect? Your pride? Does it affect your self-esteem? Personal relations, sexual relations, your ambitions, your security, which talks about, I guess, does it affect your home situation? Does it affect, like your ability to, I guess, like pay the bills so that you can have a roof over your head? And the last thing, I guess, is your finances. Does it affect your ability to find work, to make money? And then the next part there is my part, like your behavior. What mistakes have you made? Have you been acting out in selfishness? Have you been acting self-seeking? And especially in part of like fear and harm, like, does it really sort of take you to a place where, you're scared of the thing, and does it actually cause you to lash out? And so the last part there is kind of a continuation of the third column, which talks about, like the character defects, and really makes you sort of like own and, give examples of, if it affects your pride, how does this cause you to behave and how others perceive you? So I guess, the best way, I guess, for this to work is, to see, this in action. And so I'm going to, I guess, run through one of my resentments. And so that's been the fact that, like my family, like they're quite well off, I guess, like they've all gone to university. My mum's very successful in what she does as a teacher. My sister is incredibly successful as, like a health and wellness coach. She works very, very focused in, like creating visibility and really, creating a safe space for the internet, in the internet, on the social media, especially for people to come into a community where they can be 100% authentic in who they are, what their intentions are. And I am phenomenally proud of her for doing that and the success that she's had for that. However, Obviously not specifically towards my sister, but like my family, and that there are others in my life that are more successful than I am, and I absolutely resent that. Um, and I resent that because I want that for myself. I want to like have a certain level of success. Obviously, we all have different definitions of what success is. But I guess for me, like I resent the fact that, like I feel as though nobody knows who I am. I resent the fact that I don't wake up every single morning, like completely pumped and, energetic about, my day, or, and the fact that like my self-esteem is like I've just taken a massive hit. So this definitely affects my pride. This definitely affects my self-esteem. Um, I guess that, like for pride and self-esteem being, like part of those wounds that need to heal, I guess that it does affect my sexual relations. I don't have a partner at the moment, and I'm not actively seeking one. I guess the kind of underlying thing there is because I don't feel good enough, so I just don't bother. Um, my ambition, absolutely, it affects my ambition. Like, I I I feel as though like I do have the drive and the ambition to really create something fantastic. But again, like my pride and my self-esteem, take quite a bit of a hit. So, my security and finances, I don't think that that's really a factor. Um, the fact that I work very hard, I think that I'm very good at what I do, sort of plays a part in my security and my finances. So we'll just leave that one out. My mistakes. Um, I guess that I think that I project my like not worthiness, my ambition to be better than like everybody else, to try and compete and to have this kind of level of perfection that like I know that I'm a very good bartender, and that I kind of posture myself that I can do no wrong, and that in the sort of scope of like training others or working with others, that there's kind of like a level of that there's not like one way to do things, but just that it's kind of like there's a system and process for like a way to do things, and that like I kind of project my like my low self-esteem to try and posture myself that I know better. Have I acted out in selfishness? Hell yeah, absolutely. I kind of, like, I guess if you want to say like wallow in that kind of like, low self-esteem and whatnot, that like my selfishness means that, I kind of, go out there and sort of do things, I guess for lack of a better word, in spite of, like my family's success, like that is my drive and my ambition, so it's kind of, um, dishonesty. I don't. I think that there might be a level of dishonesty, like kind of being in the space of health and wellness, um, where like my level of ambition and drive to like really make like my business really take off. That there's kind of like a level of dishonesty because I'd been a heavy smoker for 15, 16 years. So that I think that that's definitely a factor there, and it's I think that that takes a lot to own. Self-seeking, you bet, absolutely a definition. Fear, I think obviously because like my pride, my self-esteem, have taken a massive hit. That there is obviously a fear of failure, and the underlying sort of idea that I'm not good enough. There is always that fear. Harm, I that I guess that's one of my, I guess number one rules. Like that's where my what's the word? Like my, like those number one rules that like you'll never break. Like what those things that you stand for is, I will never intentionally harm someone. However, there are times when like my level of impatience, like kind of gets the better of me, and I do sometimes say things out of turn. Like I'm, like come from a family of, like hot-blooded Russians that kind of like act out before there's that kind of thought process of how it affects other people. So I think that there is that kind of level of harm. Character defects, absolutely. There's the, like pride component that, like really takes a hit. Self-pity, like sitting there thinking that I'm, like not worth having a, like level of success in my life. Selfishness, absolutely. Self-centeredness, definitely. I definitely have like a little bit of a bigger head than, like what, like others perceive. Intolerance, I I think that, I kind of get along with other people. However, I think that there are certain levels where, like I tend to be like a little bit intolerable. Just started watching Big Bang Theory, and I've like related to Sheldon Cooper like on like so many levels, and nobody on that show likes him. So, there's that. Impatience, you bet. What do we got? Envy, hell yeah. Lust, always like the lust to do better, to be better is always a component there. Self-righteousness, you bet, until someone takes me down a peg, which I think is completely fair enough. And grandiosity, absolutely. I think that kind of comes down to our arrogance, but yeah, it's definitely up there. So that like pretty much like sums up the today's component. So I guess if you have any questions, if you have any comments, definitely reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you want a copy of today's worksheet, I can screenshot that and send it over. So just let me know what you think, and hope to chat to you soon. Bye for now.